Welcome to Touchline. I'm your host, Anthony Totera. Right now, again, at the 2012 Soccer Hall of Fame banquet. And right now, joining me is the president of the OSA, Ron Smale. What an evening. The who's who in Canadian soccer and abroad is here. And you and I were talking just before we started taping here. And you said, Anthony, what a crowd. And I responded, the quality of the crowd is absolutely fantastic, Ron.
Much so, Anthony, and we're really pleased to be here again to induct players, builders, etc., into the Hall of Fame. Yes, we do have the who's who of the soccer community being inducted this year, and it's great to be part of that. And one of the big initiatives that we've taken this year is to nationalize it. And when I say nationalize it, we have our national body, the CSA, involved. We have our provincial bodies involved. We have our districts and our clubs. So it is truly a family event.
Let's be honest, Ron. For the first time ever, I see a unity in the room. I see a family atmosphere. Ex-players like Alex Bumbry, Nick Dasovic, Colin Miller. I can go on and on. For the first time, they said to me, Anthony, we feel welcomed. We feel part of this family. For the first time ever, the player feels involved. This is great.
Yes, and that's our motto going forward. It's player-centered. Player-centered is the key. Coach-centered is the support mechanism, and referee-centered. And as you know, Gordie Aerosmith is here this year being inducted into the Hall of Fame, FIFA referee, and he's done a tremendous amount of work as well. So yes, we're very, very proud. We're proud of all our inductees, and more importantly, we're proud that the soccer family is starting to unite from the professional to the semi-pro to the amateur, to all our clubs, to all our districts and all our leagues. I say kudos and hats off to them because we're starting to, from my perspective, gain a huge momentum pushing forward, and it's evident tonight at this event.
It's my pleasure to congratulate the 2012 Soccer Hall of Fame inductees, who are the most deserving of this great honor. We would also like to thank the Ontario Soccer Association for hosting both the induction ceremonies earlier today and a fitting tribute tonight to all the inductees here. I think many of us in this room have been involved in this game for a long time: player, coach, administrator, fan. The key to this success is creating a football culture. But it's important that we recognize that we do have the base of this culture. The starting point of this is tonight's inductees, who are a prime example of the excellence that exists in this country. To say that Canada doesn't have football people is a myth. A myth that doesn't exist. We do have football people. And tonight's inductees are a great example of that. And I truly believe that through courageous leadership, not just from the CSA, not just from me, but the Canadian soccer family, starting with the leaders in this room, that we will be able to unearth more of our excellence and sustain it for our future generations. Our past must inspire our future. So I hope when you leave here tonight, that these inductees and what they have accomplished in their lives and for our game, and sacrifice everything they have sacrificed for our game, that you take that with you. You take it back to your clubs. You take it back to your kids. You take it back to your grandkids. And you tell them that there are football people in this country.
to know in the business. He kind of molded me into a bang average sports analyst, hopefully getting better in time. But he's like one of those good defenders, you know, when you have, or good teammates in general, where you always got somebody beside you, and you know you're always going to cover for each other. Well, most of the time he's covering for me, so if I stumble, I mess up, or something goes wrong, hosting a television show is a lot different than what I do. It's a very difficult beast, and that's why a lot of these hosts stay in the business for so long, especially the good ones, because they just know how to do the business so incredibly well. Anyway, he's a gem, he's my friend, and he hits a pretty good golf ball as well. Jerry, dog.
Very proud and obviously very humbled to be here as well, because unlike most people in this room, I come from a different background in the sport. I never really played it to any account. I never coached. I was never an administrator. My background is obviously in television, but I was totally dumbfounded when I got the call. Here's the way it went down. I was actually on a golf vacation with my wife in Florida, and I made the mistake, or as it turns out, maybe it wasn't a mistake, of bringing my cell phone with me. So I get up in the morning and we're ready to go play golf, and I turn on my phone and there's a message, and it's from John Vanderkook. And the message is to call him back right away. And here I am getting set to play golf. John Vanderkook, golf. And for those of you who know and love John Vanderkook, do I really want to talk to John Vanderkook right now? He's probably going to want to tell me something about Julian de Guzman or Jonathan de Guzman or some other de Guzman that I've never heard of. I don't know. So as I'm thinking there, pondering what to do, my phone rings and it's John Vanderkook calling. So I thought, okay, I better answer it. So I answered the phone, and then he proceeded to inform me that the selection committee had come up with this bit of lunacy to nominate me for the Brian, or to select me for the Brian Butt Award winner. So completely humbled, completely surprised by it. There's so many people that I have to thank. First of all, to the Sportsnet family. It really turned for us at Sportsnet in the fall of 1998 when Sportsnet was launched. About 2 weeks before we went on the air, Scott Moore, who has now gone on to bigger things at Sportsnet, was then the vice president of production. And he called me at home one day and he said, because in those days when you're launching a new network, you have to buy programming. So he called me and said, Jerry, he says, we got this new property, it's called English Premier League something or other. He says, somebody told me you knew something about soccer, would you be interested? And I said, sure, why not? So we went on the air, and I think we went on the air on a Thursday night, and on Saturday morning, we were doing our very first English Premier League game, and of course we've done hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of games since then, most of them with Craig Forrest at my side, and I'm so thankful to have a guy like him. He says, I taught him about broadcasting, he taught me about the nuances of the game, that's for sure, there's no question about that. By the way, the Sportsnet people, there's some of them here at the table today, the likes of Rob Corte and Dave Tredget and Ed Hall and Laz Lozelle and Dan Fernandez. Without those people putting together the quality soccer programming that we put on, well, it wouldn't be happening, and I wouldn't be where I am right now, thanks to those people. And it's nothing that they say, but it's just the way they are that keeps continually reminding me that what you are as a man, the measure of what you are as a man, has nothing to do with the success that you have in your chosen field. It's what you are as a husband and a father, and I am truly reminded of that. And finally, to Brian Butt and his family here today. Brian was a special human being, as we all know, and I only hope that I can honor his legacy and continue to do the best that I can do on television every day, and annoying people off TV with my opinions and forcing them on them. I can be miserable sometimes, but I'm a blunt person, and that's the way I am, and that's the way I will always be. So I am deeply honored, I am deeply humbled, and thank you all from the bottom of my heart.
Welcome to Touchline. I'm your host, Anthony Totera, coming to you live from the 2012 Soccer Hall of Fame. And what a night it has been. And now we are talking to the newly elected president of the CSA, Victor Montagliani. Victor, congratulations. Welcome to the soccer family in Canada. And what I love what you said right after when you got reelected is the player comes first. Let's expand upon that, because tonight, players like Alex Bunbury, Nick Dasovic, the list goes on and on. Great to see these guys wanting to get back into the fold.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, thank you very much for your kind words, Anthony. And it's a humble honor and it's a big honor for me to be the president of this Canadian soccer family. Tonight was a fantastic evening. The induction of pioneers, the induction of builders, and also obviously the induction of the players. And it just warms my heart to see players that have bled for this country put on the jersey for this country, like Carlo Corazine, Alex Bunbury, Mark Watson, Andrea Neal, and Charmaine Hooper. To see them tell their stories of how they grew up in the Canadian family was an emotional night. But as a president of the CSA, I'm very honored tonight, and my heart is just glowing from the fact that we have those kind of people. And it's not just the quality of players they're fantastic people.
There's a different air in Canadian mentality in Canadian soccer, and the fans going out there now and supporting this national team. They want to see this team get to that next level and to the World Cup in 2014 Brazil. What I love about you, Victor, is now you've let the door wide open for ex-players, ex-coaches of this great country to come and get a lot of ideas off their mind and give back and help out. This is what people love about you.
Yeah, and I appreciate that, Anthony, but I'm just stating the facts. I'm not reinventing the wheel here. The facts are this. The facts are you have a person like Enzo Concina who sits on the bench of Napoli that just won the Coppa Italia. You have people like Colin Miller, Nick Dasovic, Mark Watson, all young Canadian coaches who have ability. I think it's time for not only for the Canadian Soccer Association, but the Canadian soccer family and professional football to wake up, to see what kind of talent there is out there. And the fact that to say that there is no Canadian talent is actually hogwash, and there is. There is Canadian talent on the field and off the field, and we hear it all the time. And we heard it tonight. And so it's a matter of bringing everybody back into the fold. People like Mike Sweeney, who've been working in the U.S. for many years, developing American players. And fair enough, he's got his family there and creating a living. But those are the people we have to tap into. They love Canada. They love Canada. They wear their maple leaf in their heart, like I do. And quite frankly, I think it's an opportunity for us to bring the intellectual capital of Canadian coaches and Canadian players back into the fold.
Well said. What do you want to say, Victor, to the players that have turned their back on Canada? We don't have to mention the names, but there's two right now that have yet to answer the call of Stephen Hart. And I love what Stephen Hart said. Enough is enough. Let's not talk about these players anymore. They don't want to commit. And I agree with him, Victor. I don't know how you feel about it, but when their career is over and they want to settle here in our great country, that's when I get upset, because when they don't want to represent our country when we need them, why not?
Yeah, and I agree. I mean, it's kind of a stale thing now to talk about it, to be quite frank with you. And the door's open. The door's open for all players, and specifically any player. Those two specific players. The door is open. And really, if you really have to think about playing for the greatest country in the world, let's be honest. You know what? We are the greatest country in the world. And you know what? And from a footballing standpoint, with respect to the choices they may have, honestly, it pales in comparison to coming to this country. From a business opportunity standpoint, from an emotional opportunity, to be honest with you, the choice is easy. It's just up to them to make it.
Well said. The last thing before I let you go is they call you the soccer guy, and finally we got a soccer guy in power. And you know what? I agree with that, but I don't think too many people know about your business background. And you're bringing a lot of cards to the table, and you're bringing a lot of great attributes that you have had in your business career. It's great to be the soccer guy, but we need money. Let's be honest. We need money so our national teams can play and train at the best conditions. Am I not right, Victor?
Oh, of course. At the end of the day, we are a business, and people forget that Canadian Soccer Association. Yes, we have an opportunity. We govern the grassroots part of the game, and we govern the educational part of the game as it relates to coaching, education, referee education. But at the end of the day, we also compete in the international arena, which is professional football. And we have to realize that that takes money. No different than TFC needs money to compete. We need money to compete. And the key to that is not just going out and asking for money. It's creating the building blocks that we are a first-class organization. We run a first-class organization, and you can see that it's already starting to happen with respect to the way our staff conducts our communications, the way we do run our business, and you can see that it's coming.
And a first-class organization, and we'll leave it with this, needs a technical director. Let's be honest and blunt about it. Canada doesn't have one. Is this the top priority on your list right now?
Yeah, I've already stated, starting at the AGM, that we will be announcing a technical director in place by the fall. The process has already started with respect to, there'll be probably very shortly, we'll be putting out a notice with respect to seeking candidates. And so that process will happen over the summer. And by the fall, September, October, we'll be in a position to announce a technical director of the association.
Well, I'm going to throw my 2 cents in. He's here tonight. He's a guy that we would love to use in this country, Enzo Concina, a guy that's got a deep, deep pedigree, played in Canada, lived here, went to Italy and Napoli, winning a championship, the first North American, the first Canadian coach to do so. He's knocking on your door. I hope you're listening.
Well, that's the first I've heard of it, but obviously if somebody of the quality of Enzo Concina wants to give something back to our country, I think we need to start listening to those type of quality people.
My pleasure. Victor Montagliani, president of the Canadian Soccer Association, here on Touchline. Again, coming to you from the 2012 Soccer Hall of Fame, and I'm with Hall of Fame All-Stars right here. Canada's best, Bobby Iarusci, Nick Dasovic, John McGrane, and Colin Miller. These guys left it all out there for Team Canada. Now, guys, I want to get your opinion. Canada's getting ready to get qualifying for 2014 Brazil. Bobby, a lot of people have looked at this next group they're in and saying it's almost a pushover. I disagree. It's dangerous. Honduras, Panama, they're coming ready to gun for Team Canada. Your thoughts?
Well, of course it's dangerous, but Canada needs to believe that they can win every game, and they have to feel that. And they have to message that, and it's the attitude that'll take them through. And it starts with the U.S. tomorrow, too, by the way, in my opinion.
Well said. Nick, quite honestly, I'm getting sick and tired of guys that don't want to play for Team Canada. We don't have to mention the names. There's a couple guys that don't want to come. Stephen Hart is saying, let's not talk about it anymore, and that's fine. But when their career is over and they want to come and settle in Canada because it's the greatest country in the world, that's where I get ticked off. You represented Canada. Why?
Well, I'm Canadian. It's simple. You know, I grew up here. I went to Europe as a youngster to get my footballing experience, but I always knew that coming back here, I'd play for my country. You know, and I think Stephen Hart's absolutely correct. Don't focus on the negativity. You get on with it. Stephen and Tony are doing a great job. They're going to be diligent in what they're going to do, prepare for the teams. You forgot to mention Cuba. They're not a pushover either. So they'll do their homework, and I'm confident Steve and the boys will get themselves organized, and I'm looking forward to the match on Sunday. I love an American-Can matchup, and I can't wait for the boys to kick some of that Yankee, you know what I mean? So I'm looking forward to it.
Well said. John, I think the ace in the hole for Team Canada is a healthy Atiba Hutchinson. This guy, to me, is the motor there in the midfield. If he's healthy and ready to go, especially with the loss of Josh Simpson, it's going to be key.
Oh, I think it's more than just Atiba Hutchinson. I think they've got to be solid at the back against the Americans. The Americans have the ability to score goals. I think they've got to be strong in goal. They've got to get a great game from their goalkeeper and look for the counter-attack against the Americans. But Bobby's right. I mean, you have to get into this game thinking, not we're going to keep the score down or try and play for a tie. I mean, you get 20,000 screaming people out there. This is your chance to win, because there's nothing better than a victory against the Americans to propel you into the games against Honduras and Cuba.
Well said, Colin. It wasn't too long ago that Bobby Iarusci, John McGrane, Nick Dasovic, and yourself used to take the Americans and school them on the field. And people say to me, Anthony, it's impossible. It's impossible. Was it not true? And still today, can we not do that?
Well, my dad used to tell me about these two players. First of all, I can't remember them playing, but yes, absolutely. Growing up in Vancouver, you know, from the age of 10, 11, we used to go down to the States for a confidence boost, you know, because we were so far ahead of them. That's unfortunately not the case at the moment, because they've put so much money into their programs. We've got a fair bit to catch up to the US, because they've got a conveyor belt of players coming through. But I agree with these guys. I think tomorrow is a big game for Canada, and I think we should be going to get a very good performance out of the team. If we can get a good performance out of the team, the result will look after itself, and I think that will propel us into the World Cup qualifiers.
Well said. 4 superstars in Canadian soccer, guys that love Team Canada, and hopefully they can get to 2014 Brazil. Welcome to Touchline. I'm your host, Anthony Totera. Once again, coming to you from the 2012 Hall of Fame dinner. And Mr. Team Canada goalie now in the record books, 100-year anniversary. You're on that, and you deserve it, Craig. Talk a little bit about being recognized there.
Oh, well, thank you very much. First of all, it's obviously a great honor, just to be part of playing for Canada. I was never playing, as you know, any players in the play of the game. You're not doing it for awards or anything like that. You're doing it for the love of the game, your teammates, your country, representing everything that is great about the game of football in your own country. There's nothing better than that itself, but it's great to be appreciated for sure.
Talk about a quick memory playing for Team Canada. I know what you're going to say, but I could be mistaken. Talk about a memory that you'll never forget.
Well, Gold Cup 2000, you're going to mention. Yes, as a tournament, that is obviously the icing on the cake to my career, and it was near the end of my career. We played the 2001 Confederation Cup after that, but it was pretty close to the end, and I played all those years leading up to that. I had, again, no expectations about necessarily winning anything, but for Canada to win their first international tournament, that was magnificent. But every game I can remember just about playing for Canada, where it was, the significance of it, the teammates that I played with, even the Brazil game and back in 1994 leading into the World Cup for them, drawing at Edmonton, certain games like that really stand out. But I remember every single one of them.
Well said. Talk about Mr. Carlo Corzin getting inducted, a guy you played with, and a guy that left it all out there, blood, sweat, and tears, a guy that really enjoyed playing for Team Canada.
Absolutely, he did. He was always a guy that was always at the airport before me at Heathrow, ready to go play wherever we were going to play, coming from the UK and playing with Canada. It was always a joy having him around. On and off the field, he was tremendous. And where would we be? You talk about the Gold Cup in 2000 with his timely goals. The goal in the quarterfinals against Mexico just at the death, I think, of 83rd minute or something like that. And a couple penalty shots that were very key for us as well. So you need key individuals, you need certain people, and most of all, you need a whole entire team to win tournaments. But Carlo certainly deserves to be in, and it's great to be part of his big night.
Very quickly, let's talk about the anniversary game, Team Canada versus Team USA tomorrow at BMO Field. And then after that, the big games, the real games that start for World Cup qualifying. A lot of injuries, Craig, and Stephen Hart, unfortunately, is going to have to deal with that, but they're going to really have to put it in another gear.
Yes, they are. They're going to have to dig deep. Josh Simpson's a massive blow for them as well. And there's a couple others that haven't really been released yet, but he's certainly kicking things around as far as personnel. There's a few guys like Nick Ledgerwood, for instance. He's really come on really well. He's performed very well in the camp. So there's players that can step in for people in the positions, and they're going to have to dig deep. And we're not, Canada have never been the most talented group in the world. We know that, but we know we have a lot of spirit and we have a lot of fight. And if we work hard, we're organized, and we pick up key goals like we have done in the past, there's no reason why this team can't go on to the Hex, which is the most important one. But this group they're in right now with Panama, Honduras, and Cuba, very difficult to get out of, especially winning away from home.
Former great goalie as you are, I got to get your last thoughts on who would you start. I would start Milan Borjan 100% because he's got the experience overseas. I would start with him. Who would you start with?
Yes, they're both solid. In goal, I think they're all fairly good. Even Kenny Stamatopoulos is playing. He never lets anybody down. Lars Hirschfeld won't let anybody down. And Borjan as well, who will not let anybody down. So in goal, I don't really see that being a major issue and a major weakness for us. Other positions, maybe. But I think in that position, we have enough experience in goal that the guys will not let Canada down.
Best goalie that I've ever seen in my lifetime in Canada, and many that have seen him play for Team Canada at his best. Craig Forrest, once again, congratulations for being named on that, and what an honor, and you deserve it.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate having me on. Thank you.
You're the type of guy that we need more of in this country, Craig Forrest of Team Canada.